Hey mama, do you ever feel like you're living a double life? On the outside, you look like you've got it together. You smile at drop-off, you serve at church, maybe even lead a Bible study. But at home, it's a whole different story. Your reactions scare you. You explode yelling, screaming, maybe even grabbing your kids too hard or spanking in anger. And then you sit alone afterwards, drowning in shame and whispering, God, what is wrong with me? Your kids ask you, Mom, why are you always so angry? Your husband steps in to diffuse the chaos. You see the fear in their eyes, and you think, this is not the mom I want to be. This is not the legacy I want to leave. And maybe, Mama, you're just sick and tired of it. Sick of drowning in shame. Sick of hating the mom that you become. Deep down, you know you're ready, like 12 out of 10 ready to finally transform motherhood, to become the calm and stable presence in your home, to treat your kids with Christ-like kindness, and create a bond of connection so strong that when they grow up, they remember you as a safe, loving, joyful mom they always needed. If that is you, you are not beyond hope. You are not broken beyond repair. And this week is your chance to take the next step towards healing. Enrollment is open for my Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program, a 12-week transformation journey where I walk alongside you to break free from this cycle. Together, we will dive deep to uncover your triggers, calm your nervous system, shift your mindset, and invite God into every layer of your healing. And this week only, if you enroll by September 20th, you will get some amazing bonuses. A 90-day follow-up call after you graduate to make sure you are staying on track. A care package delivered to your home to support you on this journey. And the biggest bonus, 2 additional weeks of group coaching and private Boxer access to me for real-time support. Mama, you have absolutely nothing to lose. The program even comes with a 100% money-back guarantee if you do not see results by week 12. This is your chance to say yes to yourself, to your kids, and to your family, and to the peaceful home that you've been praying for. Click the link in the show notes to learn more about the Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program and book your free consultation call. We will talk through your situation, and if this program is the right next step for you, I will invite you in. You don't have to stay stuck. Change is possible, and it starts right now. Hey friend, welcome to the podcast. This is an episode, a testimonial of one of my clients that recently finished Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program. She came into the program struggling with out of control rage. For her, this was also a spiritual battle on top of breaking generational anger patterns and learning the tools that she needed. If you are a mom who feels stuck, you feel unfixable, you feel like you're too far gone, this is the testimonial that you want to listen to. So let me introduce you to Valentina, and let's get into this podcast episode. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How many kids you have? What do your days look like as a mom?
I have 2 kids, 4.5 and 2.5, with a third on the way. And typically, my days consist of just me and the kids. My husband works full time. He works in law enforcement, so it has a very demanding schedule, which means it's usually just me and the kids, solo parenting all day, typically through bedtime as well.
How old are your girls?
4.5 and 2.5. We're in the trenches of toddler chaos a little bit.
I mean, there is a level of chaos. Like the more kids you have, it just comes with a certain amount of chaos
Yes.
with everybody's opinions and what they want, what they don't want, and the conflict between the kids. Like it's just part of parenting. I don't think it's realistic to have multiple kids and have everybody sit quietly still. That's not possible. So tell me what was going on in your life in the springtime that made you say, I need help with my anger. I just cannot do this anymore. Tell me how you found me and what was going on for you.
Yeah, so I had been dealing with anger towards my kids since my first daughter was born. And it had just, so up until this point, like the last 4.5 years. And the anger and the frustration and the rage had just been building up over the last 4 years. And now it had gotten to the point where I was physically hurting my kids when I was angry. So I was spanking them, pushing them. And a lot of the times this would happen on nights where it was just me and the girls, where I'm by myself and I am just like beyond frustrated. I've been frustrated all day. And then typically at the end of the night is when I would have like my breaking point. And it happened, I would say, about 3 times before I found your program and decided to reach out. And the morning that I found your podcast, it was 5 o'clock in the morning. I had woken up early. I had just pushed my daughter the night before, my youngest daughter, my 2-year-old, because she didn't want to sit in timeout. And I was trying to just get her to sit still. And I had just gotten so angry and I like pushed her and I felt terrible that all night that morning. So I was on the couch and I was scrolling through podcasts and just I think I searched like mom anger, mom rage, and yours was the first one that came up. And I had just got done praying for God to help me with this because I didn't know what to do. All I knew was that I didn't want to be this way anymore and I didn't want to keep doing it. I knew that if I didn't get help, I would keep hurting my kids and that it would just get worse and more frequent. So that was the circumstances that led to me finding your program. And then that was when I reached out. But yeah, I wasn't in a good place at all.
Yeah, I remember that call. You and your husband were on the call, and that was a very emotional call for you. Just first of all, reaching out and saying, "Hey, I need help," and just sharing what things are like. And I'm not sure if your husband knew the severity of how things were. He was just sitting there quietly listening to you sharing your heart. And I am so glad that God led you to this program because we're going to talk about the transformation that God did in your life. Before you joined the program, how was the anger affecting your relationship with your husband and your kids? Because it was both for you, it wasn't
It
just your
was.
children.
Yeah, it was both. So I would also have outbursts towards my husband. I didn't speak to him nice. I was overreacting all the time, yelling, cursing, screaming, nagging, like all of those things. And it was happening all the time. So we were fighting a lot. We were arguing all the time. And anytime him and I would argue, that would bleed into how I treated my kids. And if I had a hard day with the kids, then I would take it out on him. I was taking it out on everybody, like kind of the situation, the circumstances that I was in, which is feeling like I'm alone all the time and having to do everything on my own. I was taking that out on everybody. And so it created an environment in our home where I just didn't want to be around my family. I was always looking for a coffee shop. I was always looking for like the next place that I can go to. I always wanted me time. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I specifically wanted it to get away from my kids. I would always dump the kids on my husband when he came home and I would try to find the quickest way to get out the door. I just was always trying to escape my family, to get out of my house because I just didn't want to be in the environment that I felt was stressing me out. So it created a lot of like distance, a lot of isolation. We just felt like we were passing ships. Like it didn't feel like we were a team. It felt like we were all against each other.
Yeah, that's a hard place to be.
Yeah.
Before you joined the program, what were you thinking and feeling about yourself as a mom? Because you shared with me some difficult thoughts and feelings towards yourself as a mom in that season. Can you share some of that with me?
One of the thoughts that would repeat in my head all the time was like, why am I a mom? Why am I here? Is this a joke? I would say that to myself all the time. This has to be a joke. I would always question why I was given this job of being a mom. And there was a point too where I was really mad at God. I had had a relationship with him for 15 years and I was just angry. I would be like, why did you give me these kids? I'm clearly failing. I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good mom. And I always just would convince myself that I was going to fail my kids, that I was going to be the reason why they would need therapy in the future. And that if I were to run away, that they wouldn't miss me. All these terrible things that my family would just not care if I ran away and just didn't come back, and that I was doing more harm to them, than good. And so it was just this constant thought of, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this life. I don't deserve these kids. I don't deserve my husband. And just always questioning God, like why. I felt like I didn't deserve it. I felt like I was being punished sometimes for maybe certain things that I did, like growing up, and that God was like punishing me. So I had a really, really bad outlook on being a mom because I didn't think it was supposed to be that hard.
And one of the things that we worked on for you quite a bit is the negative thoughts. Negative thoughts towards yourself, negative thoughts towards your husband, negative thoughts towards your kids, because your thoughts produce your feelings and your feelings produce your actions. So we have those negative automatic thoughts, and oftentimes they're lies, they're not even truth. And we believe that. And then we grow this resentment, bitterness, frustration, anger towards those people that matter the most to us. And then we take it out with our tone, with our rude comments, disrespect, harsh words and actions. And then all of that damages the relationships with our spouse and our kids. And that's where you were when you first joined the program. And we'll talk about towards the end of the interview where you are now, because like God did such amazing work in your life. But before we do, tell me, when you got on that call with me and we had that consultation call and you kind of poured out your heart and everything that's going on, and you found out the investment of the program, what fears and hesitations did you have about joining the program?
I didn't think it was going to work. I thought, and I even said this to you even after I enrolled, that I felt like I was too far gone. I was actually like in and out of therapy for years as a teenager and in most of my adult life. And so I again tried to convince myself that if therapy didn't work for me and help me with my anger, I don't think she's going to help me. I'm too far gone. I'm too intense. I'm too broken, really. And that I'm going to do this and it's not going to work.
Then
But
why did you say yes?
because I knew the way that everything was lining up was for a reason. I prayed that morning for God to help me. And I was very specific, in my prayer. And then I found your podcast, and then I started listening to a couple of episodes. And then, when we had the consultation call, we had the money coming in. The way that everything kind of worked out was like, I need to be obedient. I want to rebuild my relationship with God. The first thing I need to do is be obedient. And it's very clear that this is like the direction he's putting me in. And so I need to trust that this is going to do something good for me in my life. And I know that if I didn't, I was just going to keep doing what I was doing. I was going to get worse. I was going to hit my kids more. I was going to yell more. And I was going to be just more aggressive. And so I knew that I had to do something. I had to do something I wasn't comfortable doing. And so that's when we like bit the bullet and we did it.
Because one of the questions I have in the consultation, what's going to happen 5 years from today if nothing changes? And what would you say to that 4 months ago?
In 5 years, if I kept doing what I was doing, my kids would have been scared of me. They would not want to be around me. They would probably start picking up on the things I was doing and start doing the same thing. I know my husband, I wouldn't want to be around me. And so I felt like if I don't do something now, I'm going to lose my family eventually. I never want that. That was my biggest fear, was like losing my kids. in that way. And I just couldn't. And I was like, you know what? We're gonna find a way to be able to afford this because I can't lose my kids and my marriage. I love my husband. I don't want to lose my family. So I kind of, despite the hesitations, I put that in my head and was like, this has to work. Like, this is going to work. We're going to find a way. Like, God is going to give us a way to make this work.
That's beautiful. What was it like to be part of the Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program? Like, what was your favorite part? What was something that was difficult? Like, tell me a little bit about the experience, what it was like for you to be in the program.
I loved the group calls. Probably my two favorite things were the group calls and just the access that I had to you. I felt like I was talking to a friend, which was so nice because I've been in coaching programs before and I've never had that much access to the person I was enrolled in the program with. And it was so nice to be able to have you in real time. And I would tell my husband this all the time. I would reach out to you during those moments where it was really hard at night, a lot of times where I'm having a hard time. And you were really good about like changing my perspective in that moment. And then having the group calls and like being with the other moms and seeing that, okay, I'm not the only one who has done this because I was during our consultation call, I was scared to tell you what I did. And I was scared to tell my husband because I was just keeping it to myself. And so when I started going on the group calls and hearing the other moms and kind of what was going on in their lives, it was like, okay, like I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who is having a hard time as a mom right now. And I would say like that was probably my favorite part was the calls and just having the access to you. That alone was like worth the price of the program for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what most moms say. They say the group calls and being able to talk to me Monday through Friday. Hey, I'm having a really hard morning with the kids, or this is just a really hard moment today. Pretty much talk me off the cliff because my mind is just spiraling in a negative way. Or I'm pretty sure we had a moment where I literally just prayed for you. This is
Yeah.
just hard. This is just a hard moment. And I don't necessarily have the answers to all the questions, and some circumstances are just hard. And I've told you multiple times, for you specifically, I don't feel that way towards every single client, but for you specifically, I told you this is also a spiritual battle. Like for you, this was humongous. That relationship with God that you developed and that dependence on Him, all that praying, and just how the enemy was just trying to fight against all of that. And I know you felt it. And I've said that to you multiple times. I'm like, you're not just fighting like generational patterns and just unmet needs and all the things. You're also fighting a spiritual battle. There's a real enemy that does not want you to break these patterns. He does not want you to succeed. He does not want you to have a good, safe relationship with your kids. He does not want that peace between you and your husband. He wants to do everything to steal that. He's going to plant those seeds of bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, negative thoughts, and he's going to attack you as much as possible as he can. So, share with me a little bit about what that was like for you, because I know that you also felt that it was a massive spiritual battle.
Yeah, definitely. So a couple months before I had found your program, I had a moment where I felt, like that God had revealed himself to me. Like I was ready to rebuild my relationship with him because it had been at that point 15 years where I was really angry. And I was like, I want nothing to do with God from things I had seen as a child and just the religion I grew up in. I was just really angry. And so when I made that decision, it was the best decision that I made because I started reconnecting with him. But it was like the moment I made that decision to have that relationship, the hits just kept coming and coming. And it was like the more I wanted to be closer to him, the harder it was. And it was so confusing because it was like, aren't things supposed to get easier if I want to be closer to you? But it was like everything was getting harder. There was it felt like there were days where I wasn't being intentional with what you were teaching us, and I felt like it wasn't working. Like my husband still said hurtful things, or the day still didn't go the way that I intended it to. And it felt like the more that I prayed, the more that I read my Bible, the more that I was doing this work, the thoughts at one point got really heavy. And like that's kind of how I knew, okay, this has to be like something more than just my trauma and things that I've gone through. Like because I personally feel like the enemy attacks my mind because he knows he can get, I'm vulnerable there. I have a tendency to get down on myself and get really, really down in the dumps. I think I asked you, is that even a thing, like a spiritual battle? Because I didn't even know what that meant. I just knew that the day that I decided to say yes to God, it was good things were happening, but also really, really hard things were happening too. And I just didn't understand why. And then you kind of helped me look at it in a different way where, yeah, the devil really does not want you to be a good mom. He doesn't want you to be close to God. He's literally going to pull out all his tools and try to bring you down. And there were days too where I felt like this is not working. This program's not working. I'm too far gone, and trying to allow him to convince me that this wasn't going to work for me. And I had to fight that. That was really, really hard, was fighting those thoughts of this is not going to work, and kind of just keep on going and keep doing what I was doing, and basically the opposite of what he wants me to do. I definitely felt something different, mainly like the middle of the program, like around like the 9, 10 week mark, kind of around there. It was really, really hard, really hard.
And I think for some of my clients, it's a lot of the tangible things for them that they need to shift. But for some other clients, like for you specifically, it was such a spiritual battle that needed to be fought. And for you not to give up and not to fall into those lies that are from the enemy. Because you're right, he doesn't want you to have a restored relationship with your kids and your spouse. He wants to destroy, steal, and just damage everything. And so praise God that God helped you through that and just transformed. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that here in just a minute. What is one of the most powerful and helpful things that you learned in this program?
The vision writing, that was so helpful. I've never journaled as much as I did since being in the program. And when you would help me and give me like those prompts to vision write, and the more I did that, more often I did that, because I did have to do that frequently. It couldn't be just a one-time thing. I had to do that often. I can start to see that I was becoming the mom that I had envisioned myself in that particular situation. And because you tailored the vision writing to fit like what was going on with me and like a specific situation, that was so helpful. That was especially, I think there was one prompt where what does a great day like look like with my kids? And then the more I write that out, I start to see that coming to fruition, like the fruit of that. Even if it's little bits and pieces of what I wrote, I start to see that. And it's almost like putting into my head, like, yes, this is going to happen. You are going to become this mom. And it made it real for me, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, yes. I love vision writing. And I think probably most of my clients say also vision writing is the shift that was the most helpful for them. When did you start noticing positive changes in yourself and like in the relationship with your girls? At what point did you feel like you turned the corner and you started to notice more positive than negative?
Around the 8 to 9 week mark, I started to notice that I was becoming more aware of my tone, how I was speaking, and I was actually doing something about it. So in the past, I would know and be aware of what I was doing, and I just didn't care. But I had started to care enough where, okay, I'm not speaking to my daughter really nice in this moment. And I started kind of picking up on that and then utilizing some of the stuff that you had taught us I definitely felt the shift around that time. I was more patient, less reactive, because I think before that, we spent so much time working on my mindset. So I think the fruit of that started to show around that mark with kind of like the daily things going on with the kids.
I do believe that for majority of my clients, around week 8, that's when all the pieces start clicking
Mhm.
together. It's like you're learning all these things, you're practicing, and some people start seeing changes earlier on, but it's around week 8 when you're becoming so much more aware of what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're doing, and you're able to pause and redirect and start making shifts instead of just going down the same old patterns. It's very common. And I've even told like moms when they join, I'm like, week 8 is when you're really gonna see a lot of positive changes. It's like this whole shift that starts to happen. Do you by any chance have that letter that you wrote to yourself in the beginning of the program?
I do. So I wrote this April 18th. Valentina, look at you. You did it. You did the very thing you convinced yourself you couldn't ever do. The chains that have kept you trapped for years are finally broken free. You became someone who is unrecognizable. I am so proud of you. But most importantly, the Lord is so proud of you. He and the angels are rejoicing at the mother and the wife you have become. Together, you and the Lord defeated the enemy's relentless efforts and completed this program that has transformed your motherhood. Let's take a few minutes to reflect on the heart changing work the Lord has done. You are a safe place for your children's big feelings. You are approachable when your family needs you. You remain joyful instead of resentful in the circumstances you are given. You are a peaceful presence in your home. You no longer hurt your kids out of anger. You overcame rage and destructive, hurtful anger. You wake up each morning feeling peaceful, anticipating the day ahead instead of dreading it. You play with your kids and see them as a true joy instead of a burden. You pause before reacting and are gentle and calm when responding to stressful situations. You smile when speaking to your kids and see their faces light up. You replace shame and guilt with self compassion. You have broken your family's curse of destructive anger. Remember when you first started this program, how impossible it seemed, how you tried to convince yourself that you could never change and were too far gone in your anger. Yet here you are, transformed, not perfect, but profoundly changed for the better. Your girls will grow up with memories of a strong mother who faced her struggles with courage and refused to let old patterns and ways of thinking destroy her family's story. The tools you've gained throughout are now part of who you are. This is the new Valentina. When challenges come, you now carry the strength within yourself to choose a different path. Your husband and your kids see the difference in how you interact with them. Every difficult moment is handled with patience. You did this, Valentina, through all the tears, all the resistance and tactics from the enemy. You chose growth and healing over what's familiar. You've given your kids the greatest gift, a mother who shows them that transformation with the Lord's help is possible, that we can all become who He has designed us to be. Hold tight to this victory because you've earned it. Love, daughter of the King.
How do you feel reading the letter?
I smile. I see like so many of those things happen now, and my kids' faces do light up when they see me. You know, they call me their best friend every day. And it's like such a small thing, but they never did that before. Now they fight about who's mommy's best friend and like how long forever is. And we even talk about things differently now, me and my oldest. Like we talk about Jesus together, and my husband sees the work that I put in. He told me the other day that he's really proud of me. I know that's a lot for him to say because he's not like emotional at all. So I
Mhm.
know that when he says that, he sees that. And I just feel like I'm really proud to be their mom. I don't dread being their mom or question like why God gave me this role. Like I see that Like so much of what I went through in my life has prepared me for this. And he carried me through it and helped me so much. So much. And I mean, we're having another baby. I feel like that is like confirmation that like I am where I'm supposed to be. Like this is what he wants from me.
How would you describe yourself as a mom now? Like, I know you shared a little bit when you first started how things were and how you felt. How are you as a mom today? What do your relationships look like with your girls, with your husband? How do you feel about yourself as a mom? Tell me a little bit about that.
I embrace my kids so much more now. And the circumstances have not changed. Nothing has really changed in my life. And I look forward to when they wake up in the morning. And that was like a huge flag for me that I knew that things were improving was because I looked forward to them coming out of their rooms in the morning and I wasn't dreading, like I would always roll my eyes when they came out of the room. Now they wake up and say mommy and I want to be with them. And now, even at night, when they need me, I find that I'm more approachable to them. I'm not trying to run away and shut them down and kind of just tell them to stop and, push them to the side. Where now I feel like I'm more approachable. I'm more interested in them and what's going on in their world. And I want to just be with them more. I didn't want to be with my kids all the time. I was trying to do the opposite. So now intentionally like find things that I can do with them. We have this thing that we do now where after dinner every night we have a popsicle on the front steps and they look forward to it every night. And it's like our thing now that we do. And now they tell my husband like about the days that we have and they're so
Mm.
excited. And that did not happen before. Now when they come home, they tell him, we did this with mommy, we did this with mommy. And, it's nice to see that they're enjoying me as much as I'm enjoying them. And it wasn't that way 4 months ago.
And also, your relationship with your husband has shifted too in these past few months as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now I'm using a lot of the techniques and the tips that we've learned with the kids. It just naturally kind of bleeds into like our relationship now. So now I'm really working on being more curious with him and not like accusing him or jumping the gun or being nagging, really, because that was like my big thing. It's just being this nagging, annoying wife who just had a problem with everything. And now I'm embracing him too. We have our disagreements and definitely have hiccups. We don't have a perfect marriage, but now I embrace him and there's more of him that I'm accepting instead of just trying to fight and resist, which is what I was doing with my kids. I was resisting being a mom. I was resisting being a wife because I didn't feel worthy of it. But now my mindset on that has changed. I am worthy of that. This was given to me for a reason. It wasn't a mistake. And so it kind of helps me to accept my husband more for who he is instead of just always trying to change him, which is something I was doing too a lot.
Yeah. And I think he probably enjoys spending more time with you now and looks
Yeah.
forward to coming home.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
And I remember you messaging you. I'm like, what would it look like for you to greet your husband when he comes from work with a smile on your face and giving him a hug and say, hey, babe, nice to see you. We missed you. What would that look like? And like writing it out in detail as one of your vision prompts. How do I greet my husband when he comes from work? What do I say? What do I think? What do I do? And what kind of environment do I create? Do I create an environment where my husband wants to come home to and spend time with me and the kids? Or is it an environment where my husband is like trying to avoid coming home to because it's so chaotic, crazy, and negative? So, and that has also definitely shifted for you. So, one last question. What would you say to the mom that is listening right now and she feels stuck in anger and she's wondering, should I do this? Should I book a consultation? I don't know. I'm not sure if this is going to work. It's a lot of money. I don't know if I should do this. What would you say to her?
I would tell her she found you for a reason. Like you were here for a reason. It wasn't by accident that she found your program. And I want to validate what she's feeling because it is scary. It is scary to do something that's not familiar because being angry and being frustrated and flipping out on your family is at least for me, a really familiar feeling. And it's scary to know that you're going to change. And I want to tell her to do it because your future self, your kids are going to appreciate that so much. And it will never be something that you regret. You'll never regret working on yourself and doing something that's going to better you. So that's what I would tell her, is that if she's debating on whether or not to join, to pray that the Lord give her a clear answer, a clear path, and that he will answer you, and to just be obedient and to do the thing that's going to bring you closer to your family again.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story. Like, it means a lot for you to have the courage to talk about something that feels uncomfortable. And I know there's many mamas that are listening to this testimonial and they're like, I resonate so much. Hundreds and hundreds and thousands of moms download the episodes week after week and are listening to this. And I know there's at least one mama that's listening to this. You're like, I hear myself in Valentina, and you give her hope that transformation is possible with God's help and the work that you put in on your end. You're doing this together. You're not
Yes.
trying to do this on your own strength, and you're not just praying about this. You're also doing your part. And that combination of that and the support, transformation is inevitable. It's going to happen. If you just keep going and you put in the work, it's going to happen. So, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. What a gift that these kids have a mom that did this work so the kids don't have to. If you feel like you are too far gone, if you feel like you are not fixable, if you feel like you are broken, if you feel like you're a terrible mom, you're not cut out for this, you feel trapped in this role as a mom, maybe your husband comes home to an angry wife on a regular basis, and it's this rinse and repeat cycle. If you feel like you're stuck in a forest and you do not know your way out and podcasts are not helping, you need somebody to hold your hand and tell you which place to go, I want to share with you about Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program. It's not for everyone, but it's for the mama that's sick and tired of staying where she's at right now. She sees that the relationship with her kids will be damaged if she stays like this moving forward. And she is ready to do whatever it takes to commit today to start making changes in her life. You can make that transformation with God's help. You just need some guidance and support, and I can help you. And so if you are just desperate for help, if you are just so done, if you're 12 out of 10 ready, like I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get the help and support that I need, I'm ready to commit my time and energy and money so that I can show up for the kids and be known as the calm, patient, loving, understanding, empathetic mom instead of the mean mom, then you book your free consultation call. The link is in the show notes to learn about the Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program and to book your consultation call. Friend, I want to help you. And if this is your next step, I'm here to support you. Let's connect. Mama, if you're listening to this and feeling the deep shame about what's happening behind closed doors, if you become the mom you never thought you'd be, one who yells, explodes, and then hates herself for how she treats her kids, I want you to hear me. You are not alone, and there is hope. Do you want help overcoming destructive and damaging anger patterns? Enrollment for Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program is open right now. Click the link in the show notes to learn about Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program and book your free consultation call. You don't have to keep living this way. With the right support and God's grace, you can become the mom you have always wanted to be. Mama, your transformation and your peaceful home are waiting for you.